Now and welcome to HYVA. I'm excited because today I have a virtual CEO, or actually a virtual entrepreneur on the call today, and his name is Andrew Draper from manpacks.com. And so one of the things I want to do is, go out there and find other entrepreneurs who run their businesses virtually to get ideas as to how they do it, and get like a backseat view as to how they put systems together to get things done in their business. So Andrew, go ahead, introduce yourself to the community, and we get started.
Sure. My name is Andrew Draper. I'm CTO of Manpacks. I have one business partner, Ken Johnson, and we truly are virtual in that Ken is in Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm currently in Ottawa, Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, so it creates a very interesting dynamic.
Definitely. And so, just to give the community some kind of context as to what exactly Manpack is all about and how you. So let's get started by how did you guys get started exactly?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of an interesting story in that Ken and I, in the past, we've played in rock bands together. We ran a small independent record label like 10 years ago, lost touch, got back in touch, started working on another idea that had a long path to revenue. And over the course of working on that, realized we need some short-term revenue, had a very quick, like 20-minute Skype conversation one evening, and in the course of that conversation, the idea of underwear and subscriptions and sort of recurring revenue came up. The kind of name Manpacks was floated around between us. We did a domain name search. It was available. Did a couple of really quick Google searches to see how we could facilitate actually purchasing the products, and kind of had a really loose idea of what to do. Decided the idea was kind of just too crazy not to at least attempt. And so we bought an initial inventory order of about $500. So between that and the $10 for the domain name, that was pretty much our startup cost.
So
Now,
let's give the community what exactly Manpacks, because when you hear Manpacks, if you don't know what it is, I know what it is, but what exactly you guys do?
So we like to say it's a start it, stop it, change it anytime subscription for men's basics such as underwear, shirts, socks, shaving products, and we'll be adding more products along that line over time.
So basically you're sending out products that men use, like their underwear and all that, but it's based on a subscription-based model, basically saying that you don't have to go to the shop, or if you don't have time to maybe, in my case, be hassled by your wife to go get new underwear. You can just sign up for a subscription, and it gets sent to you.
Yeah, so the interesting side, it's funny you mentioned having your wife. I mean, I have a wife as well, but the interesting thing is about 20% of our customers are actually women buying for their men because they're tired of going shopping for men as well, because our basic premise is that men just hate to shop. We always have something better we could be doing with our time, and we just put it off, and we end up with holes in our socks, rat underwear, and this way every 3 months you're going to get however many you determine you need. Some people get a lot, some people only get a few, but they're just kind of replenishing their supply over the course. In a normal subscription, you get about 2 weeks worth of underwear over the course of about 2 years. So you kind of cycle things out as they wear out.
I'm curious because the whole story itself, the concept is all exciting. I'm just, wondering, like, how exactly do you guys go from the conversation that you're having on the other product that, that you guys had that wasn't maybe getting the revenue as you wanted to, deciding you want to sell underwear, and not only that, making it subscription based. It's like, help us, glue the pieces together, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so there were kind of two books that both of us had independently read at the same time. One was The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and the other one was 4 Steps to the Epiphany by Steve Blank, which is the whole lean startup idea of testing small, inexpensive ideas, validating them, and figuring out how to scale them based on, early observations. So the idea was, my background is I'm actually a web developer, web designer, and I've been doing it. So we were able to kind of test it really quick, get a basic system in place to get people's opinions and people's ideas, and just kind of went from there. And it was one of those things. It was really, the initial setup was so inexpensive to test it. Since it's kind of taken over our lives and become quite an interesting project, we've managed to get a lot of really great attention But in the beginning, it was just a really simple, and to us, there was a lot of, I mean, we embraced the humor of it. And so it was always sort of, it started as a project and then became what I would call a startup, and we're looking for the business side now. So we've had a lot of really great success over the last year that, I mean, the nature of the business is we kind of break even every quarter, right? Just because our expense is really the cost of goods.
Definitely. And you said that you started with the lean startup methodology, where you're saying you go out there, just test it, see what works, and if it works, you start scaling on there. So how exactly, now you got the idea with your partner, what exactly did you guys do to actually test the idea, like get some sample results from people out there?
Yeah, so I mean, we went to a conference called LessConf, which it happened to be in Jacksonville, Florida that year. It actually is now in Atlanta, Georgia. And we kind of floated the idea to a few people at the conference, managed to get our first customer while at the conference, got a beta invite to Chargeify, which is our back-end recurring billing system. And the funny part about the Chargeify beta invite is that they were very much in early beta and were lacking certain features, so it forced us to simplify our ideas and help kind of define us a lot better. And so we kind of did that, tested the idea with a few people we met there. And I mean, really, we really only had one customer for about 3 months. Wow. And it started out kind of funny. But we retooled it, and because of, like I was saying about the Chargeify stuff, because it forced us to be simpler, we managed to make it more appealing to people in the same breath. Relaunched in January of last year, and kind of just literally using Twitter and social media channels, I think we got 5 orders in the first day and about 10 over the course of the first weekend, because we actually launched on a Friday. So we kind of figured we were onto something, and that kept going for about 2 months. And then somebody posted about us on Hacker News. And it turns out there's a lot of journalists that are kind of watching Hacker News and whatnot. And just through a couple of things like that, it built a huge amount of momentum in March of last year. And at this point, we had literally, when we bought that $500 worth of inventory, we shipped it to Ken's parents' house in Florida. And Ken was fulfilling the orders out of his parents' house himself and ended up getting his mother's help. And so when everything sort of, that initial press kind of hit, we ran out of inventory and had to literally go to Walmart and Target to fill orders for about a week, which was when we started looking for fulfillment. And that was when we realized we kind of had something, we had a bit of buzz going, we had to kind of up our game a bit, and we started building systems. And so we kind of put off building a lot of systems and really fine-tuning things until we knew we had something. And once it was clear that momentum was keeping, we were there was a lot of chatter, a lot of talk in social media channels and whatnot that we were able to leverage. And it just kind of snowballed in that way. It really was a really kind of interesting experience, having done a lot of different small launches and whatnot, but seeing what people gravitated to and then doing these small iterations of fine-tuning the business model and making it easier for people to understand it. The biggest thing early on, and even still to this day, was making people understand what we were doing, and that we didn't want to bury them in underwear, essentially, because a lot of people think when you hear, subscription to underwear, it's like, I don't need that many. And we kind of agree with that, so it's a lot of it is messaging on our part to kind of fine-tune that. If that makes sense?
Definitely. And you made this point initially where you said when you guys started, you had a few customers, and what we all find when you start a new business is those initial customers are like, the people that help you to really fine-tune the message and even make things, clearer to them. So what did you learn from that first few set of customers that you had that you guys have used to kind of carry on the business the way it is right now?
I mean, we did some early surveys with that kind of initial group, probably within the initial first 50 customers or so. We did some surveys to find out where they found the value. And I forget the questions exactly, but we termed it in a way that essentially at the time they were helping us write our website headlines and whatnot, because it's a great thing. People love to talk about what we're doing in a way that generates essentially copy for us in really kind of in their own words. So from figuring out what value that they found is we kind of hypothesized that probably other people will find that value, and so reworded things, repackaged sort of the way, because initially we actually sold it in very tight packages of you get one of these, two of these, and we really didn't offer a lot of flexibility, and over time we've offered more and more flexibility. But in a lot of ways, packaging it that way early on let people kind of get it and made it easier for them to talk about. Yeah. So from those early customers, really, I mean, we still have most of those early customers. One really great early customer, his name's Justin, lives in Minnesota. Back in December, asked us if we would do this thing where basically for every pair of underwear bought in the month of, or actually it wasn't December, I think it was October, but as it was getting cold in Minnesota, for every pair of underwear that were bought, we bought a second pair of underwear and gave it to a homeless shelter in the town he lived in. And so we've got, I'll have to dig up the photos. He posted them on Flickr of the boxes that were sent to the homeless shelter. So it was very cool to kind of have a very early, I think he was actually, counting Ken and I as customer 1 and 2, I think he was customer number 5.
Wow.
So
it's funny how, you have your own idea of what the business should be and what kind of needs you should be meeting, but when you put out the questions to the audience or to the community, you find out that the users have a whole different way of which they think of the product. And I guess the key in there is to figure out, okay, what is what responses are they giving back to you that turns out to be like the average or the most similar response, that they all have the same idea of what the product is, and then use that to kind of be the messaging for your product itself, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I know I've done a lot of sort of contract web application and software work in the past, and I mean, I always tell people that I work with, it's like, we think this is going to be how this is going to be used and what it needs to do, but the second you get a real live actual user using it, that goes completely out the window, and they're going to use it how they want, and they're going to help define how that software actually is. And as long as you're listening to those people, it makes it a little easier to sort of nail the software, or in this case, the underwear, so kind of turn it into an actual business in a way that people kind of get a lot quicker.
Definitely. It also means that one has to be willing to make changes on the fly, as opposed to having this whole plan set that you've planned, and and things are not going. Just being able to just move forward and just, what was the word for it? Is that agile? What is that?
It's agile, or iterative. I think in software it's usually agile design and agile sort of software development. And yeah, it's just being flexible and kind of only building what you need to build, and kind of what you determine is the smallest amount that you need to build to be able to get somebody using it, because then they can help set the path rather than you assuming what the path is.
Definitely. And also in regards to the subscription part of it, because most people in your niche where you're selling underwear, garments and all that for guys, mostly have kind of like an e-commerce store where you go there and buy a piece and they send it to you. How setting up a different model in terms of it being subscription, what were the issues with that?
There's the technical issues, which have to do with, keeping the schedule, being able to know when to charge, when it's time to ship. And in the case of product, you want to bill it when it ships. You don't want to bill it and then ship it, which was an early real problem we had to work through and kind of rejig the system a little bit in the background, that finally we've kind of got that nailed really well. But the real challenge, I think, when it comes to any subscription is people generally have the perception that they're going to get locked into a subscription. Like they think of a magazine subscription or like the old Columbia House cassette tape subscriptions and whatnot where they were locked in, they couldn't do anything. So early on, we really started, well, not even necessarily early on, but over time, we started to really fine-tune the message. That's like when I said earlier when we started, start it, stop it, change it any time subscription. At that point, it's not really a subscription. It's really you are in control of what you want to do with it. We're going to send you a reminder every 3 months and say, hey, we've got a package queued up here. If you don't want it, let us know, but feel free, log into your account, change the items, remove any items you don't want, skip this, cycle, tell us you don't want anything ever again. It's all on you. Like, we're not locking anybody in, and getting the message across that we're not locking anybody in, and by no means do we want to send things to people that they don't want. It's an ongoing challenge, I think, for any subscription-based service.
Definitely, and by making the subscription such that it's so easy for them to shape things around the way they want, doesn't that, making it easy for the client, for the customers, that's great. But doesn't that make your own system less predictable? Or did you come up with that situation in the sense of they have the ability to change at any time, and you're trying to build a system? So how does that affect your own systems?
It certainly it certainly makes it a little bit more difficult to predict. But we can, after a number of quarters, we can sort of start to predict what those changes are going to be. And the shipment reminder gets sent out a week before the actual shipment. So they've got a fine amount of time to actually make those changes, sort of thing. So we know within a fairly, and we're kind of, I'll call it an algorithm for now, that we can kind of predictively assume that they're going to make certain changes over, because I think we're on our 5th quarter right now, so we're starting to see trends develop that we can start to kind of analyze a little better.
That's a good point you made, because based on the fact that you guys are having all this data coming in, over time you're going to see trends that you can now use to kind of categorize the way or predict their behavior, I guess. And so in the beginning we were talking about the fact that it's a physical product you guys are offering to your clients on a subscription base. So obviously there are several systems you have in place, like the fulfillment services and all those different the actual product itself, you're buying them. So one of the things I want to do is kind of give the audience kind of like a background, like to see how the different systems fit together, if that's possible. Just share some ideas of how everything works.
Yeah, I'll give you an idea of sort of a scenario as somebody sort of buys it up till they get it sent to their door.
Definitely.
Yeah, so there's our front end website that somebody goes to. They choose what they want. They put in their shipping address, their billing address. They click OK. Ken and I get an email that we have a new order. And at this point, we don't need to, but it's pretty nice to get that in your email and realize you just made money. So, and in the same process of that email getting sent, all that information gets sent to Chargeify, gets billed through Authorize.net is our merchant account and whatnot. So that all gets checked, and there's a series of sort of error checking to make sure all that works out. And it could also, all that gets dumped in our database. And on a daily basis, I log into a back-end user interface that I put together that's just a custom system that lists all the orders that are due within, and I can set a start date and an end date, that within these dates, these are the orders that need to be batched to the fulfillment center to be shipped. So I have a little, I have a little button that I push to check all these orders, click export. It exports a spreadsheet file that I then log into the fulfillment center software, upload the spreadsheet. It goes into their system. On their end, they get the spreadsheet, they pick and pack the order, put it into an envelope, put it into the mail, and it goes to the customer. And then in the same breath, I do an export out of the fulfillment center to see what our current inventory is. We compare it to our upcoming needs. And that's, again, just a really simple user interface that I put together that looks at our upcoming needs with our existing inventory and tells us what we need to order. And we can look at any point. We can look 1 week in the future, 2 weeks into the future. up to, a few months into the future, and kind of get an idea of what our costs are for the next little while, and kind of understand on a really high level basis where we need to be looking and what products we should be buying more of, and when we might run out of things.
So basically, what I'm looking at it now is there's a website where there's a front end for everybody to get the information to sign up. Then there is the back end where the processing of the order goes through the subscription tool you use, which is Chargify, and your payment gateway and all that. And then you now have the back engine part where you're trying to match the orders to what's available in the fulfillment center, and being able to predict when you need additional stuff to be ordered to be delivered to the fulfillment center. But I guess the thing is, you got to this point based off being able to determine the systems that would be needed to put this whole business together. But I'm trying to figure out, in the beginning, what were the challenges you faced in regards to putting the different pieces together? Because I think we can all learn from challenges, I guess.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what this has been, is a learning process from the beginning till now and ongoing. In the beginning, we did it was a really simple system. We couldn't even mark something as shipped very early on. I would actually log into the database and basically change a 1 to a 0 to mark it as shipped. And then as it took, every time it becomes painful for either me or Ken, we look at how we can fix that pain point. So over time, we've built this system out as it's required as there's been an inflection point of there's a pain point that we need to fix, it's becoming a problem, whether it's, sucking our time out of doing other things, or it's potentially going to be a problem for our customers. That's kind of how we decide what the next thing should be built. And, the inventory stuff initially was just a very quick report. We exported from fulfillment, and even before we had fulfillment, it was literally looking at the boxes of stuff in Ken's room and going, okay, and doing a printout of the upcoming orders, and just looking and seeing what we needed. And then, so we've just developed more and more advanced things rather than go out and spend however much money and however much time building a system we wouldn't fully use for the future.
I like that. It's still the whole thing of being iterative and build as you need, as opposed to trying to figure out. And I see a lot of companies, especially in the tech space, doing that. They come out with the core base of what the tool or the product should do, and then based on feedback or the pain, like you said, that is felt, they build upon that, as opposed to thinking about everything and building out everything and finding out that not everything is even needed in the first place.
That's exactly it. Yeah, because it comes back to what I was saying earlier about we can think we need certain things, and we should worry about scaling and that, but until scaling becomes a problem with any of this, we're wasting our efforts when we can be focusing on other things at that period of time. So as things, and I don't want to make it sound like we aren't thinking too far in the future, but we try not to overthink things and kind of go down a path that we're going to just kind of not end up using. We try to do things that are going to be useful, I guess is what it comes down to.
Definitely. And one thing too is, when you started this business, what I noticed is I've seen that you guys have a lot of mentions in the press and all that, and I'm curious as to that startup entrepreneur that's trying to get out the message about what their business or their tool does. What kind of lessons have you learned in regards to trying to get the message out? And you guys seem to have been successful with that.
You know what? A lot of it has to do with having a catchy name that people sort of have an initial giggle about, and then look at it and go, oh, that's kind of interesting, and kind of then get the serious side of it. And a lot of it has been putting ourselves out there, as far as sort of being very vocal on things like Twitter and our Facebook page, and just going to various events and identifying the right places to be. And we've never actually approached any of those press mentions came to us, in that we never gave out press releases, we never asked people to write about us, but just from being out there and being open and having a catchy idea that we were having a lot of fun with, it just kind of we kind of did a certain number of things in a specific way that helped facilitate that happening naturally, I think.
Definitely, but I'm sure with the messaging part of the process, where you guys are out there, trying to get, be active in the different communities, what have you found basically gives you the most, the more you guys do it, gives you the most, what's it called, ROI or whatever, return on income, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in terms of your marketing, I guess.
I mean, I think Twitter has been fantastic for us just from the get-go, the initial launch, because the initial launch, the only thing we did was put out a tweet that we had launched it with a link. So that was then, and then we've just there's been literally thousands of tweets over the course of the last year, and we get a lot of, Twitter's great because we get a lot of back and forth engagement. It's not one way.
Yeah.
So, like, somebody can say something and we can immediately say thanks to them or, engage in a conversation. And I think it's that, humanizing the brand that Twitter brings to the table that really, I mean, I don't think we would have had the success we've had without Twitter having been where it was over the last year. So I would point to Twitter being the biggest channel that's helped us as far as that goes.
And you made a good point in regards to the whole well, I'm just stumbling all over the place. And this is how the interviews are very real, being very human and going out there and putting yourself out there so people can, attach a face to the brand. And I see that you guys do that a lot. But I'm sure, is this something that came naturally to you initially, or is something that you've had to learn some, tricks to, actually doing it, or what's that like?
I mean, I would say that I don't think it was necessarily naturally to begin with, but it was one of those things. I think we knew that as a small brand, the only way to gain trust, I mean, really we're looking at a trust relationship here. We're asking people for their credit cards is kind of the end, really what we're doing. So we had to put an honest face to it. We had to be, and we wanted to show that, hey, we're just a couple of normal guys trying to help out other normal guys. So it kind of fell into place naturally, but it was also kind of thought of, and I mean, we've definitely learned over time some of the good and bad ways to do that. And I think that we've kind of hit a really nice spot where both of us are, we put ourselves out there. And the reality of it, I mean, I think as humans, we always think that when we're going to put ourselves out there, we're at risk of, being shot down, being, picked on or whatever. But for the most part, the reaction, I mean, it really does nothing but help your ego, which only helps your confidence and makes you kind of want to keep going. And there's the naysayers, but in my experience so far with Manpax, it's the good has far outweighed the bad of putting ourselves out there and just kind of being human.
Definitely. And I see that, definitely a lot of people that will use your product, there's going to be a bunch of them that are going to be more vocal about the use of the product. Basically, the brand evangelist, I guess that's what the word I'm trying to say.
Right.
How do you empower such people, basically to get that word of mouth marketing to help you guys? What have you guys done to really empower those kind of people that use your brand?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we're really focused on right now, is really figuring out how to empower the vocal people that love our brand and get them to make it very easy for them to share. I don't think we've quite nailed it yet, but we have a little thing inside their account that they can send emails, tweets, Facebook posts directly out of that to that. We've played with a couple of different scenarios. One that we tried that wasn't really as successful as maybe we would have liked was offering a $10 discount to the person referring and $10 to the person signing up. And we tried that for about 3 months. Very little uptake on that. So we're trying, it really is our whole overall philosophy, is trying these small little tests, seeing what the reaction is and learning from it. So, I mean, that 10 and 10 thing didn't work out. So, I guess in some people's eyes that's a failure, but we now know that option doesn't work. So now we can try another option based on what we've learned from that and find out that maybe that's the one that works, maybe it's not, and kind of go from there. So yeah, we're the empowering our customers is one that we're still working with. I mean, one of the really big challenges for us is the products we sell go underneath nobody really ever sees the products we sell.
Yeah, and it's private.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's some people that are going to get a laugh that are more than willing to talk about their underwear. And, that's great. And then there's other people, I mean, we've had emails from people asking, well, does the packaging say that it's underwear when it comes in the mail? And they're really worried. They don't want people to know they're getting their underwear in the mail.
Yeah.
And other people, I mean, they would like it just, completely labeled underwear, and they just really love telling other people that they're getting it in the mail. So there's a really funny group of different customers just based on, the fact that we're selling underwear. So it's an interesting sort of one to kind of find the right spot for.
And I'm curious too, because with your product, you said there's a lot of women who are actually trying to use it for their spouse. I'm trying to figure out maybe what kind of messaging are you guys sending out to these ladies to even get them attracted to the whole product in the first place? How are you packaging that message to them?
At this point, we're really not. That's kind of in the back of our head, we always thought that we would start to market towards women, in that there's probably a good way to market to them and entice them and make them realize it's a good idea. But we've never really done any direct marketing to women to do it. I think that over the course of time, a very large percentage of our customers are going to become that, and we absolutely need to do some marketing in that respect. But really, that's been natural in that they've just kind of picked up on what we're doing. We have mothers that have their husbands and one or two of their kids on it. It's really interesting to see people kind of looking at it with their own eyes and deciding how it would work for them in their own ways. That, well, then as we kind of get, because it's only the two of us, we can only do so much at a given time. So when we get to the point that we're able to spend the time and market properly to women, we already have this fantastic bunch of data to pick from and to kind of survey those people and figure out how to do it right, I think is what'll happen.
Definitely, because I was curious, because I know there are a lot of like mommy blogger communities out there that wow, if you guys can get involved with them, they'll help to probably spread that message. And one of the things I'm always trying to find out from entrepreneurs when I get them on the interview is we're all busy entrepreneurs, but yeah, you're taking the time to actually spend time with me to just have this conversation. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy talking about it, and I think that the more what I've learned from doing a couple of presentations in front of, I've actually done a presentation in front of an entrepreneurship class and a couple of other presentations at a conference here or there or whatever, is I actually learn more about what we're doing by talking about it out loud.
So basically, you're getting the message even shape better or to sound better just by hearing how people react to it when you say it, I guess.
Hearing how people react, and it helps me articulate what we're doing the more I repeat it. So it fine-tunes things in a lot of ways. So I think that, and I mean, it's fun to talk about. People really do enjoy hearing stories. So there's a bit of, I guess there's a bit of ego there, but a lot of it really, to me, is what I get out of it is just, it's a real learning process on my own of kind of being able to articulate things, and kind of helps fine tune what we're doing.
Definitely. And so you guys started out with sending out underwears for guys. What do you guys see like will be like kind of future updates of what you guys have in plans for Man Packs?
I mean, we just want to make shopping for guys as simple as possible. And so we want to add maybe some other products that kind of fit within the morning ritual. Typically, everything we sell is something men interact with in the morning. So, I mean, there may be future expansion as far as doing something for women or other sort of segments using the same model. I mean, I think as far as women go, women like to shop, and they like a very large selection to pick from, which really, that increases costs quite a bit, and our model is more of one of curation.
Definitely.
So there's, in the back of my mind, there's a couple products we could probably do for women that we could get away with having a smaller inventory and being more of a curation system. I mean, one stat that I like to throw out there is if you search men's underwear on Amazon, you get over 35,000 results.
Wow.
Yeah, so we take pride in a lot of the brands that we pick and that we sell, and I mean, usually we've worn, at least one of us has tested the products essentially.
Definitely.
So we get behind what we sell, and like we think they're the best stuff that we can sell our customers.
Definitely. And so far, to the entrepreneur that's listened to the interview so far, and what's that word of encouragement that you want to leave with them as we end the interview in regards to just moving forward with that idea and getting started?
It comes down to just doing it. Don't question the idea too much. Every idea is potentially a bad idea and potentially a good idea. And I think Manpax is a really great example of a very kind of off-the-wall idea that if you think about it too much, you probably would never do. So, and I think we're in an age that you can test these ideas so cheaply and just kind of get a feel in the water to see, like, is there something here? Should we get in a little deeper? And so, I mean, you have to kind of get out there. Don't get too attached to the idea, because your initial idea is probably not right, but I guarantee you there's probably a nugget in there that could be something awesome. And it's getting things out there and getting people's feedback to get to that nugget that is really the challenge.
Man, Andrew, I really appreciate you doing this interview. And how best can anyone listening so far get a hold of you?
Best thing to do is just email me at andrew@manpax.com. And I can be a little slow some days at responding to my email, but I try to keep on top of it quite quickly as best I can.
And guys, if you're like me that needs to stay on top of your underwear and all that, check out and get a hold of the subscription.
Absolutely. We
Thanks
appreciate
for doing the
it.
interview, man.
Thank you.
So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really want to know what exactly you think. I mean, if I suck and if I'm not doing a good job, I want to know, because by your input and your comments, your suggestions, your feedback, that's how I'm going to improve on the entire package of what I'm sharing with you. I really want to improve so that you know that your time is well spent when you watch my videos. And if I do good on interviews, and if you like certain things I do, please let me know so I can even improve upon that as well. And I want to thank you really, because your time is well spent, and I mean, your time is important to me, and I want to make sure that I continuously put this information in front of you. So I want you to join my community, and in order to do that, you need to click on the link that says get the free ebook, enter in your name and email, and you will receive as a gift from me my free ebook titled The Entrepreneur's Guide to Running a Business in the Cloud. The reason I do that is because I want to share with you that information. You can check it out and make use of it in your business. In the same vein, I will be sending you email updates every time I have new blog posts, as well as if I have new stuff that is not even on the blog, I want to share with you. That way we can stay in contact. One more thing. Before you go, I want to also let you know that if you are really serious about finding, hiring, training, and even working with virtual assistants, if right now you want to get that started, why don't you sign up for my free webinar where I share everything about the entire process? And you can get to do that by clicking on the link on the very top of my blog where it says sign up for the free webinar. Again, thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you next time.